if I have some advice, if I can end the podcast with some advice, buy the damn watch. All right, 7:15 on the dot too, so that's gonna be an easy one to remember. All right, episode 28. Normalize Talking About Watches. This is not Nikki C.
No, it's not.
This is my friend Chris Williams, which is a pleasure to have you, brother.
Absolutely, man. Pleasure to be here.
I don't know. I mean, it doesn't. I usually like talk into it, but you probably don't have to. It's like kind of awkward to hold it, but
yeah, it's pretty sensitive for sure.
Yeah. So, Nick is on his way to Infinity Island right now, which is a real bliss. Figure 8 Island in New York, in North Carolina. So he can't be here, but Chris and I, obviously this actually works better because we don't know how to do all four, right? Like, no, they can't see this, but there's 4 chairs in here. These chairs are new. And it would be really difficult to do, I guess, 2 cameras with just 2 people. So we actually still haven't figured out the true guest situation yet. Still figuring it out. So growing pains. But Chris is a really good friend at this point, which is cool. I would call you a leader in the watch community here.
I appreciate that.
But yeah, you want to do a short introduction of yourself, I guess, and your background in the area?
Yeah, so I'm originally from Macon, Georgia. Went to University of Georgia for my undergraduate and graduate degree. Moved to Charleston in 2010. I met my wife in 2012, and we lived here ever since.
Awesome.
And been into watches ever since I was a little guy, whether it was, James Bond, Magnum PI, just always fascinated by it. Things mechanical. All things mechanical. So,
do you know the original Bond watches was Rolex?
The original Bond watch was a Rolex Submariner.
I didn't know that.
Hence the black Rolex Submariner today. That's
really?
That's what. This is the one. This is my very first Rolex watch, and absolutely wanted the Bond Rolex. So.
No way. That was the inspiration.
That was the inspiration from day one of striving to be successful enough to get a chance to get a Rolex.
That's cool. I literally found that out. I found that out like maybe a week ago. I was reading something and it was talking about Bond, and I'm just like, a lot of people don't know this because I always thought it was Omega. The original Bond watch is a Rolex.
Is a Rolex, and then another cool fact: the original Magnum PI watch was not the GMT Pepsi; it was a Sea Star 3000. So very little known. It was actually a TikTok. So it was a dive watch because Magnum PI was a Navy SEAL.
Yeah.
Former Navy SEAL. MAGSOC V in Vietnam, actually. And the more accurate watch that someone during that time period could have afforded was a Sea Star. So Sea Star, I might be incorrect with the 3000. It might be Sea Star 1000, but it's a TikTok dive watch.
Wow.
And they're super cool. You can get them on eBay for like $1,000. But it's a super sleeper, like watch nerd, to have something nobody else knows about.
Yeah. I'd never even heard of that, actually.
Oh no, man, I love it. I love the watch trivia.
I like the sleeper watches personally.
Absolutely,
I like sleeper watches. So, all right, we got some really cool pieces. So this is our first, obviously, like real, other than Dimitri, like this is our first guest where we're gonna like kind of talk through a little bit of your collection. And your background in watches, but I feel like you have a really cool story on why watches. I mean, outside of just growing up, like, and we've touched on it before, but like, what watches mean to you? Why you care so much about having a really good collection and a really impressive curated collection?
That's a great question, and obviously I'm honored to be one of your first guests. So.
The first guest,
Peter and Andrew, but the first guest. So. In 2011, right around it gets a little fuzzy, the memory, right around either July 14th or 15th, I was in a terrible motorcycle accident. So like most guys and girls that are into all things mechanical, that there's things that are just married together, and one of those things are cars and watches and bikes and things. So it was a terrible motorcycle accident. Somewhere in between here and Charleston and Asheville, North Carolina, right around Highway 178. So broke my C3, C4 vertebra, T7, T8, T9, burst fractures, all 14 ribs, right shoulder, right hip, tore my ACL, MCL, posterior meniscus. Most importantly, so I severed my spinal cord at T7. So I was completely paralyzed from the chest down. And that, we could spend, probably 10 podcasts talking about the past 10 years of my life, but to compartmentalize it into a short story, I spent 10 years of my life learning how to walk again. I spent an entire year in the hospital. You talk about the word institutionalization a lot of times when you talk about people in the prison system, but even people that have chronic illness or hospitalized, you think about being institutionalized. It can be something as simple as my entire world was a hospital room for an entire year. It might have been 12 by 8. I don't know the exact dimensions. So everything becomes shrunk and incredibly small and incredibly minute. And the passing time, every second, every hour that passes becomes incredibly tedious, incredibly noticeable, because that's all you have is these 4 walls to look at, right? So then you start thinking about your life and reflecting upon your choices, good, bad, indifferent, and thinking about what's most important to you. And, I came to a very stark realization of, the most important thing that we all have is our time, how we use it, who we spend it with, what it means to us. And I kind of coined my phrase in my head a long time ago that time is the only real currency. Not money, not gold, not jewels. Time is the only true currency. And I was very fortunate enough to spend my time just absolutely refusing to believe that I would never walk again, and just working day and night, every second of every day, to rehabilitate myself and kind of beat the odds and get back to being successful. And then conversely, seeing that type of attitude, that respect for my time, my respect for other people's times, the unwavering, uncompromising, dedication to using my time wisely, really, I think, caused me to experience a lot more success in life. Right? It's not that one could not have happened without the other. And yes, do I wish every single day I had been laid low by that accident, or didn't have to go through that, and have to still be in chronic pain? Absolutely. But do I think I'd be where I am today without that? Absolutely not. So then you kind of circle back and bring it full circle to watches. It's something that it's intimately personal. It's how you tell your time. It's one of the few things that, as men we can wear, and, it's openly complimented. It's not, when's the last time somebody came up to you and was like, "Nice jeans, bro."
Right. No, hey,
right. But, and so it's just an icebreaker. It allows you to make friends. It allows you to have conversations, even about the minutia of like how the time is actually kept, right? What's the movement, what's the type of spring, what type of dial on that. So you become positively, in a positive way, obsessed with time, right? Not selfish with your time, not, well, I always hate the phrase, "well, that's a waste of my time," right?
Mm-hmm.
Or I wouldn't waste my time on that, because you just never know. You strike up a conversation with somebody in the airport.
Yeah.
You and Nikki travel so much. I mean, how many times have you discussed just life and all these other things based on a conversation with a complete stranger in the airport about the watches that you guys are wearing? Yeah. It could be the coolest $50 G-Shock that you've seen you can never have, or it could be, the platinum Daytona with diamond baguettes, like my boy Steven Venegas that I met in the airport, and we've become great friends since. And it's a fantastic conversation starter. It's a fantastic place to put your energy into your time. And the timekeepers, the wristwatches, the pocket watches, the wall clocks, are just a physical representation of the respect that you have for your own time. So it's obsessive, but to me it's an obsessiveness in a positive light, right? And not a seller. I can't part ways with anything. I'm a bit of a hoarder in the way that I don't buy things and get tired of them and want to flip them or get rid of them. Like I even write out schedules sometimes and wear different watches for different reasons on different days of the week.
You plan out based on days of the week. I mean, actually written down. I'm going
sometimes
to wear this watch this day.
Sometimes, yeah. Sometimes because, I get kind of lost in being busy and being lost in all the things I have to do. And, I've always been a big proponent of, in life and in business, if you just write down a list and check those things off. And what's the easiest thing to check off is write down what watches you want to wear every day.
Yeah.
So every single Monday, I wear this black Rolex Submariner. It's beat to hell. It's scratched. It's well loved. There's chips in the case from stupidity, like reaching between the car seats and all that. But it's time to work. This watch was meant to go to work. This is, some of the guys, Maxog V guys in Vietnam would have these, in the British Special Forces with their dive teams are actually issued, red mill subs. So it's an attitude for me. It's a mindset. When you put the Submariner on that's scratched and dented and dirty, it's time to go to work.
Yeah.
Right. It's time to go to work. Well, in between like different things, but now I'm very fortunate to be at a point in my life where if I can set goals for myself weekly,
yeah,
right, and I can accomplish those goals, and I try to be pretty strict with myself about that. If I accomplish all my goals every week, on Fridays I wear gold.
I like that.
On Fridays I wear gold.
Wear gold.
On Fridays we wear gold. If we did everything we said we were going to do, if we accomplished all the things we said we were going to do that week, on Fridays we wear gold.
And if not, you do.
I didn't earn it.
Allow yourself.
I didn't earn it. If I didn't earn it, I'm not going to wear it, right? Yeah. I'm not going to wear it. So it's just...
Is that system, do you think some of that kind of stems from like the 10 years post-accident, just kind of trying to get setting the weekly goal for yourself?
Sure. I mean, there's a brief story about my accident, my recovery I'll tell that it always resonates, and it's, how numbers and things and time actually stick with your head. So one of the first times, being completely paralyzed from the chest down, paraplegic is the term, essentially supposed to be in a wheelchair the rest of my life, I somehow, some way started getting a little bit of movement in my right side. And in the first little bit of movement I got, I was able to do, a little bit of flexion like that. So we went to physical therapy, and they had all these little weights. They're like ankle weights, right? So they put a 1 pound weight around my ankle and told me to, to do the extensions, and I just couldn't do it. I just wasn't strong. I mean, I had just enough juice to do a little kick, and
you couldn't lift a 1 pound.
Couldn't lift a 1 pound weight. I grew up, playing sports in high school and college, and fitness has always been, just a huge passion of mine. Couldn't lift a 1 pound weight, and I was told, by the awesome care team, shout out to Roper, and Roger C. Peace in Greenville Rehabilitation Center. But the message was, listen, this is great. Nobody's ever done this before. You should be satisfied with what you have, and don't let it get you down so much. And I went back to my my hospital room, and I remember all I had to find something. I just had to find something. I had $1.76 in change sitting on the little nightstand by my hospital bed. So I shoved that in my sock, and I tied my sock around my ankle, and I didn't sleep that night. I just did a million. I just stopped counting. Just lift. 4 o'clock in the morning, I knew that they started getting, the nurses and the PT started getting in around 5:15. 4:30 a.m., I was waiting outside the door of my wheelchair for them to open that door. And I couldn't wait. I was like, open that damn door. Give me that 1 pound weight. Give it to me now. Let me get after it. It's that discipline, that dedication, that just unwillingness to accept, good versus great. I'm a big self-help book reader guy, good to great. What's good versus great. And then, and that just kind of parlays into, what if I had used my time differently that night? What if I spent my time feeling sorry for myself, right? What if I just watched some reruns of NCIS like I did most every other night in the hospital room and fell asleep and didn't stare at the clock obsessively waiting for the physical therapist to get into work so that I could get my shot, right? So, that's an extreme example, but it parlays into so many facets of our life, and a passion for time and all things mechanical and all things that, work in a certain way, right? That you're just going to be focused on starting at A and getting to B and with no compromise, right?
Yeah.
No excuses, no compromise, and work your way to get it. So it just...
it's a good word.
It becomes like magnificent. It's a magnificent obsession, right? You're magnificently obsessed with how much time you have, and then positively how much you can get done in the time that you have in this short life that we have, right?
It's almost like creating that discipline too enables you to have more time in a way, because once you start to time block things, and once you start to really become efficient, you realize, holy crap,
spin your wheels.
Versus when you're kind of procrastinating and not getting stuff done, not as efficient with your time. You're starving for time. It's a weird it's a weird freedom that kind of is created by your own efficiencies.
It is freedom, and I don't want to knock the iPhones and the Apple Watches. I know they have their place in the world, but I think this makes it too easy. Like, you look at this thing right here and it automatically tells you what time it is, and you put it back in your pocket, versus the analog versions of the watches that we're all so obsessed with. My bezel's still turned from this morning from being in the sauna. I really wanted to be in the sauna for 10 minutes, and I don't want to bring this stupidly expensive electronic piece of equipment into the sauna with me, right? Lord forbid this thing break, but you've got your tool that's meant to do that. So you're turning the bezel and you're like, all right, I want to be in the sauna for exactly 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And it's that little bit of extra effort to turn that bezel. It's a good transition to my obsession with GMT watches. Mm-hmm. Tracking time in multiple time zones, knowing what's going on for the sake of my business, for the sake of work, what's going on the West Coast, and having that on your wrist of knowing what time it is now and know what time it is in California, and having to make yourself be cognizant of it, make yourself be aware of it, not Google.
Right.
A shout out to another good watch guy, family to me, but certainly a juggernaut in the watch community, Omar Saleh. He's the Hey Siri guy. Everything. Hey Siri, Hey Siri, Hey Siri, Hey Siri, Hey Siri.
Me too.
And I'm like, dude, read a book. Read a book. What are you gonna do the day Siri goes off the walls and decides to lie to you, right? It's you don't see the.
She might lie to us now.
She might lie to us now. You don't want to get into the Terminator Rise of the Machines thing, but something as simple as, taking a left turn off a bridge into the lake. At some point you got to go that little bit of extra mile and look it up for yourself, and have a wristwatch where you've got to set the time. You can set a timer. You can find out what time zone it is. It's awesome.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
And you use those tools. I use those tools too. I like to travel with a GMT. I personally love traveling with a GMT. I get a little bit, my most recent trip out of the country, I guess it is a GMT, but I took that Hamilton with me.
Yeah.
That field watch, which was great, but it's not as functional as, as a Rolex GMT or other GMTs. But it is still, I think I would prefer to travel with a GMT watch. Anything that has a 24-hour time zone, is a great travel watch.
Period. I think so. I think, that's my personal thing. I'm very passionate about collecting a certain genre of watch, right? I'm
and I've seen a lot of your, they're going to see some really, really cool pieces from you today. But I've seen the larger piece of your collection, and there's an overarching thing. Like, what is the obsession, I guess, with Rolex versus other brands to you?
Just the lack of delicateness, I suppose. Just the proven, tried and true fact that you can beat them up, to be rough with things. Mm-hmm. Man is the sum of his climatic experiences. That's a great William Faulkner quote that I absolutely love. Man is the sum of his climatic experiences. And I've got some experiences that lead me to really love Rolex watches. One of them is, again, my best friend, practically my brother, family to me, Omar, his older brother, Shukri. They're very fortunate. They've had a really great life. But Shukri would always tell me stories when we were in high school about how his best friend, every time his best friend, and this from Jordan over in the Middle East, will get a new supercar, the first thing he would do was scratch it himself. That's the first thing he would do. I said, man, why are you doing that? I can't believe you would scratch your Porsche. Why are you doing that? He's like, because I know I did it. I don't have to worry. Because I put a scratch in my Porsche, I never again have to worry about somebody in the parking lot dinged it. Somebody else messed it up. I used it. I scratched it. I own it. And you kind of parlay that into Rolex's thing. I'm not a safe queen, my precious Schmiegel type of guy. When it comes, I want to use them. I want to wear them. I want to, have those scratches on them. I want to have those stories of kind of remembering when you did it, how you did it, what you were doing at the time, and know that watch is never going to quit on you, right? It's not going to just break.
Yeah.
I had I won't name the brand, but I was having a conversation with an AD, and other than GMTs, I'm really passionate about dive watches. Again, the overarching theme is tool watches.
Mm-hmm.
It is about a certain highly desirable dive watch. Mm-hmm. And I was just talking about the things that my wife and I like to do, and that we're really, really close to the water, and we're always in the pool, we're on the boat, or in the water. And the AD literally said to me, "Well, I wouldn't swim with that watch too often." Well, it's a dive watch. Yeah, but I wouldn't swim with it too often. So that for me, versus other brands, and we can I'll do a whole nother podcast on clout watches, right? Watches for perception only.
Yeah.
And I was just like, man, you're talking about $25,000-$30,000 for a dive watch that you can't dive with. What are we talking about? What's going on here? What planet am I living on? So that, that really draws me to Rolex. I am passionate about other brands. I mean, there's definitely brands that I have a ton of respect for, and I love Seawolf. Seawolf is right up there with Rolex as one of the first, true dive watches, first, true tool watches. I think those are absolutely freaking awesome. I've got some really cool Breitlings that I'm obsessed with, that are also not surprisingly so beat to hell, right? Chipped and shaped and beat to hell. So I like things that I can use. I like things that serve a purpose.
Yeah.
Right. Not just there to look at. Not just there to look pretty or maybe impress upon someone else, but to actually truly be used and loved and enjoyed. And, I feel like this has turned into a Rolex commercial, but Rolex, and that's what Rolex does. It's what they've always promised, whether it's the Explorer first watch on, the watch that summited Mount Everest, whether it's a James Cameron deep sea that went to the deepest trench of the ocean, or just, like you said, just military institutions across the world that have used submariners over and over and over and over again to great success. So I think that
it's really interesting too. I think a lot of people see, the day-dates out in the world, and a lot of the day justs, like the more business watches, the professional looking watches, and they kind of forget or just don't know that Rolex truly was the best and is the best tool watch ever created.
Absolutely. That day date's going down 300 meters, right?
Yeah. I mean it's waterproof, right? But I'm not diving in it. I'm not.
You could though. I mean, it's a triple lock system. I mean, that's you absolutely could, and I think that's kind of the allure of it, right? It's kind of that. I mean, I got into the moon swatch craze, right? I've got 4 or 5 moon swatches now.
No.
I don't. I like to wear my watches. There's some of them I just don't like. I just don't like how they look, and I would never want something just to have it. I feel very, very strongly, and shout out to the team at Dimitri, because they always respect and know that. Like, if I don't love it, I want somebody else to have it. And I know some people would think I'm crazy because the Rolex allocation thing it's a whole nother thing, right?
Yeah.
Getting on the list and getting a watch, but if I don't absolutely love it, I want somebody else to have it. And that's whether it's a $30 watch or a $30,000 watch. I want somebody that's going to just be just straight up chuffed about it, straight up just jacked up, happy to have it. So with the moon swatches, I've got the ones that I really like, and they're fun and they're awesome. But, one of the things that I'm very fortunate and very blessed to have, is the ability to come home and get in my pool every day and do therapy and do exercise and stuff. I can't tell you how many damn times I've gone to jump in the pool and I'm like in midair, trying to take this moon swatch off and take it off and toss it. And it's frustrating. It's annoying. It's a minor annoyance, right? But it's annoying.
Yeah.
And I have a Speedmaster. I have an original, Speedmaster.
You're not jumping in the pool with that thing either.
Not jumping in the pool with that thing either. And it worries me. That probably is the only watch that I baby is the Speedmaster.
Yeah.
I always tell people this. In the watch world, I've experienced more peer pressure to own a Speedmaster than I have to do drugs.
I don't believe that.
Seriously, as an adult, I've experienced more peer pressure to own a Speedmaster. You gotta have it. You gotta own it. And I agree. It's awesome. How cool is that?
I think so.
But
if we went to the moon, we're still not sure.
Oh, someday I will. Someday, right? Someday. Even maybe it's just my frozen body. But you can't get in the pool.
Yeah.
You can't get in the pool with a Speedmaster. You go to a nice restaurant. You go to the bathroom. You go wash your hands. You're like,
Yeah.
Should I take it off? Should I not take it off? Should I?
Training, you got to tuck it under your shirt.
I mean, and I want to believe it's not that bad. I've read, all the forums and stuff. So maybe guys watching the podcast, maybe comment, educate me on the Speedmaster, so I'll stop being such a, maybe stop being such a freak about it. But yeah, I'll literally like go to dinner if I'm wearing the Speedy, and I go to wash my hands after going to the bathroom, and I'm taking it off and putting it in my pocket, Yeah. So that's just kind of that level of insanity of.
Oh, well, I'm worried about it too. My Speedy that Nick and I got, we split it, and so there's like a special thing there. We just both of the watches that Nick and I have split. I've got a weird infatuation with, and so I don't want to screw it up. I don't want to be the one. Like I'd rather. This sounds weird, but I'd rather like Nick mess it up than me mess.
Oh yeah,
like,
for sure.
I was saying like
nobody wants to be that guy.
Up, right? So
nobody wants to be that guy.
I definitely baby it too. I mean. And you don't have to baby a Rolex. And there's no reason to. I mean, it's made to be worn. I think all watches are.
No, my wife Allie has got the Tiffany OP, and I think some of you guys watching the podcast and some of you watch Lovers Out in the World would probably absolutely cry if you saw the bracelet on her OP. It is scratched to hell. It looks like a ferret or some sort of animal has just like clawed at it. Like she sleeps in it. She wears it. We go on vacations. That watch has been to 5 or 6 different countries, it's not about the preciousness of it. It's precious because it's hers and she wears it and loves it and was willing and able to do anything she wants in it, right? I can't tell how many times we've gone to the gym and she slept in her Tiffany OP. Here we are at the gym. She's sitting there, working out with a Tiffany OP on. And it's not a flex. Jesus, don't ever think it's not a wealth flex whatsoever. Right. It's just an unconsciousness of like, I'm not going to break this.
Yeah.
Right. So if anything, it's a flex on the quality of Rolex and the quality of these watches more than anything, right? You're just not going to hurt it. You're not going to hurt it unless you're just that, that upset about scratches and surface scratches, things like that. But I'm just not.
Yeah.
I'm just not.
I'm not worried.
My newest watch has got scratches on it already.
Yeah. I can't wait to get into that. Let me change this camera really quick. It's just for like 1 second. It's got like a 30-minute deal on.
All good.
All right, there we go. Yeah, I mean, I'm never really worried about them. It's also, there's something cool about, you're talking about traveling. I mean, just the memories you're able to create and watches that you don't have to worry about. You can create some really, really cool memories and tie those memories to a watch, right? Like you've got some really cool memories to that.
Oh, absolutely.
I've got incredible experiences in this watch, but I also have in other watches, different experiences, right? Like the Hamilton I went to Italy with. Last year. So it's like there's really cool core memories that are tied to certain watches.
Absolutely.
And sometimes I plan that where, I've got a watch and I know I haven't traveled in it yet. And so I'm going to take this watch because I'm going to Arizona. I've never been to Arizona and I don't have any core memories in this watch yet. So let me take this watch to Arizona and get that memory going.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And then even one step further, acquiring a watch.
Right.
On vacations. We recently were, my wife and I recently on a cruise, a big family cruise, my first one. And that was super cool because typically we would just go places, but this, cruise stops multiple places. So everywhere we stop, we got to go to check out watch shops, right?
Yeah.
So she got the new, and neither of us have ever owned a Panerai. She got the new Panerai Luminor Dew, which is the thinner case, just absolutely striking white dial. It's actually got a Rolex movement. I was just telling you, it's got a Rolex Lady Datejust movement, 72-hour power reserve. And got it on a vacation. It was super cool. We were so sweaty from walking the streets of Old San Juan, and we walk into this AD, and it's just amazing how well you get treated anywhere, right? Because literally, like we're dressed in gym clothes and sweating like pigs, and we walk in there, we're treated like absolute gold. Great watch buying experience, and she loves that thing.
Yeah,
she loves it. She wears it all the time. I'm like, okay. It's like, all right, can we resize the Daytona? If you're gonna keep wearing this Panerai every day, can we resize
the Daytona?
So Allie, my wife, she's got a Panda Daytona. She's, that's
we'll have to get her on the podcast.
So women,
I'd love you.
Women are so into watches, and it's kind of funny because a lot of our guys, guys in the watch group, DWC, will jokingly, oh, don't you dare get my wife into watches. It's the most awesome thing in the world. It really is. When your wife and you can share a passion and just talk about things and look at things together. And she's got her own very specific taste, you know, and her collection is very different from mine. And then there's a couple pieces where, you know, she's like Inspector Gadget. She watches YouTube videos before I know. She's resized some of my watches and she's wearing them and she's changing links and doing all these things. And, you know, that I don't feel confident doing, right? Or I just haven't taken the time to learn how to do. And, you know, she's got her own, like, very, very, like, unique style too, though. She's got watches that I necessarily wouldn't wear. And she likes men's watches. She wears 40 millimeters and above, like 39 is kind of a stretch. She doesn't like the dainty things, right?
Yeah.
So we've got this kind of like common thread in that they're not dainty watches, but certainly different taste, right?
Yeah. It's kind of interesting too, and hopefully we'll get her on to talk about that. But I personally like small watches. Like I love my little pulsar that I got.
Yeah,
I mean it's tiny. I mean it must be a 32. I mean if I had to guess.
Yeah, I mean and that's the thing, right?
Yeah.
I mean that's the thing. Even Tissot's got the new PRX. It's like what, the 35?
Right. Yeah.
35 millimeter. And listen, I've got nothing against that. I mean, for me it's a feel thing.
Yeah.
I like the weight. I like the feel. I don't necessarily. I'm older than I used to be. I can read. I can read bigger watches a little bit better, right? You know, I don't think I wouldn't want to be doing this,
right?
You know, doing the old or putting my readers on to see. But yeah, I think the size of the watch and I think it opens up the world of availability and different things because different companies are making different options and different sizes for men and women to wear.
Yeah.
And, you know, for every woman that absolutely and rightly so loves the smaller, you know, I'm talking like, you know, 28 millimeter date just things like that. There's women like my wife that absolutely love 40 millimeter watches. I mean, she's worn my 46 millimeter Breitling before. I mean, just because she likes it. She likes the way it feels, and it's pretty baller though when you're at a restaurant downtown and there's, you know. Because the watch bros are always watching, right? They're always looking. They're scanning the crowd.
Never stops.
And you know, your beautiful wife is sitting there with a Panda Daytona on, and guys are just like.
I mean, if you've never seen a girl wearing a Daytona, it's something special. It's almost made for a woman's wrist.
I believe so. It's weirdly, I know I'll probably get hate mail for this. I'm not a Daytona guy.
Oh God.
I'm not. I mean, my wife likes Daytonas, fortunately, but I could honestly say, if I was offered most run-of-the-mill Daytonas, I'd turn them down, because I want you to have them. I would want someone else to have it that just absolutely love you. Matt Webb, you know, our beautiful friend from Dimitri, he loves Daytonas. I would want him to have it. I'm not a Daytona guy. I'm not a Skydweller guy because they're too complicated for me personally. I do like the complications of GMT with Skydwellers. Right. It's a little much for me.
Yeah.
Right. So
I like. I haven't ever messed with a Skydweller. I think I'd like to. I mean, I like the idea of a Skydweller. I don't know if I would actually like it. Daytona. I like the idea, but I like the history of it. But talking about, you know, relative to you being truly a tool watch, you know, the Daytonas, they frustrate me because you have to unscrew the chronos to be able to use them.
Yeah.
Which is fine, but to me, I'm like, well, it makes it hard to use the chrono function. Right.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah,
but that's the waterproofness of it, right? So
right.
Allie used hers to figure out how fast a golf cart goes.
Really?
Yeah.
How do you do that?
So you just pick a point in time and you pick a known distance, right? Okay. And that's how the cosmograph works. You know, from point A to point B, and you just set it and you figure out your speed from point A to point B. And that's why it's, you know, truly it's a race car driver's watch. It's a pilot's watch. You know, it's the function of time across a distance, and it's super neat. So yeah, and she obviously loves stuff like that. She's very into the science behind things. Yeah. So we'll get her on. When you get her on the podcast, she'll have to
grab that case.
Yeah. So we'll get into some watches.
Yeah, I'm pumped. So so Chris brought this case and he put 12 numbers in to be able to open this thing up with a fingerprint and eye scan. So don't think about anything. No.
So this is this is kind of my my obsession with time and my desire to own them all. And I would love to complete my collection of GMTs, but we'll start with the one that everybody knows. We've got a Rolex GMT Pepsi on Jubilee. Like Pan Am intended. So I actually got this watch on oyster. And man, when I realized that I couldn't find nor afford a Ferrari to go with it, just a Magnum PI, I decided to actually purchase a Jubilee bracelet and get it on Jubilee, just like Pan Am, just like the original Pepsi was. Learned so many cool things about this watch. Learned so many cool things about how difficult it is to actually make this bezel. I think a lot of people probably know. Under a black light, it's all red.
Yeah.
So it's actually a chemical dipping. They make the bezel in red, and they dip it into a chemical that makes this blue adhere, which some of you guys and girls out there that are, rightly so dying over the Pepsi wait list. Apparently there's some supply chain issues with this particular chemical, but this process is so hard and so labor intensive to make. That's why the very first ceramic bezel GMT was the Batman.
Really?
Was the Batman, because the blue and black process was easier. The very first Pepsi GMT with a ceramic bezel is in white gold.
I did not know that.
It's a white gold black dial Pepsi GMT, because I guess Rolex might have figured that if they're putting so much time, effort, and money into this process, that
they might as well make it
white gold. I think Peter at the store, and I could be wrong, but I think he told me it was some ludicrous number that for every bezel they make, they throw away several.
Really?
Several.
Just for imperfections.
For imperfections, yeah, for imperfections. So
I learned something just a second ago when you said it. The original Pepsi was made on Jubilee?
The first, yes. So Pan Am commissioned the Pepsi for Rolex.
Right.
Which is another cool thing. If you guys want to look up something, look really cool, look up the Ghost Pepsi from Pan Am. So there's a legend out there that there are 15 or so original Pan Am issued Pepsis with white dials that they had specifically made for their executives.
Really?
So yeah. So look out there, guys. Look out for the Ghost dial Pepsi. If you find one, let me know. I'll sell my house to buy one. I'll sell my house and live on the street. So just super cool, super cool pilot's watch. It's probably, to me, this is probably one of the, maybe second to me, only to the Submariner, but one of the most recognizable Rolexes on the planet, right? If you're wearing a Pepsi, people probably know what it is. Pretty neat. So that's a cool one. And then the other one that I got along the GMT line of the most recent acquisitions is the left-hand drive, the LHD. This is super cool. I think this is hands down one of my most comfortable watches. You guys probably can't see it on camera, but I actually have a little scar right here on my hand from wearing. You see that white spot? Yeah. That's from the crown.
Wow.
That's from wearing watches every day for like the past 20 or so years of my life. So the LHD left-hand drive Sprite GMT is so cool, because it's just, I wear it on my left hand, but not having that crown, it's just absolutely so comfortable. And it's so cool because even people that aren't watch guys or watch girls typically know what Rolexes are, and they know what a GMT bezel is. So I've had people actually ask me if this is fake.
Really?
Because the crown's on the wrong side.
Right.
Because they're not necessarily...
And the date, right? Everything's opposite.
Everything's opposite. So this is a super cool watch.
Does it bother you when you wear it at all?
No.
Like when you're looking at it,
no.
It doesn't mess with you at all?
No, I love it. Setting it is wonky. So I will say I've seen people really adept at setting it. I actually have to turn it upside down to set it.
I probably would too. Yeah, I probably would.
I'm so used to setting a watch like this that I turn it upside down every time. But this is a cool piece. I would highly recommend if you wanted to be a one watch GMT guy,
pick that.
Be elusive. I think so, man. I think so.
I'd say it's more rare. I mean, I don't see it out much, so I think that makes it cool. Really
As far as stainless steel goes, I think if I had to have a one watch GMT collection, it would be this.
Really? Wow.
It's different. It's cool. It's striking. I love the green and the black. Green is definitely my favorite color. My other obsession is with the Incredible Hulk. So, even my car is green.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I love green, but yeah, that would be, so this was a super cool piece. And this is one of the ones that the AD, Dimitri was like, would you wear this? Because it's kind of a question. It was controversial.
Right. No, it's
very controversial. Like, would you wear this? It's like, oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely, I would wear this.
I've never even seen it on the wrist personally.
I didn't wear it.
I mean,
check it out. So Joe and I are the same wrist size,
which is really awesome.
So when we go out for drinks, we like to trade watches.
Trade watches, yeah.
So it's pretty neat.
I mean, it fits perfectly.
Yeah, and so this, you know, that dorsiflexion of the hand, you just don't get that digging into the crown. It's just super cool.
I mean, you still get it up here a little bit, though.
A little bit. It's depending on like how, you know, how loose you want to wear it, but
correct. Yeah, that's cool. All right, now this watch right here, until I saw in person, I thought would be a watch that I would never wear. I mean, I would online and just the theory of it.
Rolex. What's up with your pictures online, guys? Fix that. The pictures are so off.
It's hard to do. It's hard to photograph. It's hard to photograph leather. I mean, this you know, just the sheen and stuff like that. But so this is the rose gold root beer.
So rose gold, solid rose gold again.
Solid ever rose gold.
Solid ever rose. Yeah, sorry, Rolex.
Yeah.
Ever rose gold. Last year, actually around this time, around October, I was at a point in my life where I really wanted my first gold piece. I really wanted, you know, full transparency, kind of that affirmation of whatever. Friday feeling, success, accomplishment of goals, you know, certain things. It kind of coincided pretty close with the 10-year anniversary of my motorcycle accident, and, you know, physically getting to a point where I felt really confident and good. And, you know, I got with my guys and I was like, I need something gold. And this is one of the ones. This is actually not the gold watch I was thinking I was going to get. I was really into the yellow gold, black on black Submariner. But, you know, you can't get what they don't have, right? And our AD just didn't have one forever and ever and ever. And so I was so fortunate to be offered this. And I literally, I mean, I had to sit down and I saw it in person. I mean, you can't, I know it's not on the camera, but this watch from 10 feet away, it looks like stainless steel. Up close, it looks like gold, but, you know, the overarching theme is it just shines like crazy.
It's really interesting you said that. From far away, it does not look all gold.
No, and it looks like
the theory of, like, in my head at least, like, across the room, people are going to see me wearing this crazy gold watch, but that's not
it's not the case.
No.
So coolest story about this watch, and I'll make it a brief story.
You don't have to.
And it's funny, and this culminated, you know, this particular watch culminated in just a incredibly close, good, valued family friend now. You know, we consider these people part of our family now, Stephen and Dolores Venegas. So I got this watch just in time to go on a vacation. So we're traveling to Aruba, and you know, embarrassingly so, man. I thought I was top dog. Top dogs, first class, flying to Aruba with my beautiful wife, gold watch on my wrist. I mean, I try so hard all the time to humble myself and stay so grounded, and I literally let the thought cross my mind. I'm like, I'm the baddest MFer on this plane right now, right?
Yeah.
Not even 2 minutes passed by. 2 minutes of glorious superiority or whatever I thought I was, and this gentleman walks by me wearing none other than the ice blue dial platinum Daytona with the baguettes. Sits behind me in first class with his lovely wife, which, you know, Dolores is her name. And of course, you know, I get over just being completely defeated and deflated in like half a second, and I turn into a little kid, and I'm peeking over the seat in first class, and I'm pointing. And his wife is looking at me like I'm crazy. Yeah. Like she needs to call the marshal, the air marshal right now. And now I'm like, no. And I point to my wrist, and I'm like, and I point to her husband, and she goes, she kind of rolled her eyes, but she tapped her husband. She's like, and I'm sure she thought, oh, here we go again.
Yep.
It's another watch guy. So she taps Steven, and he comes over and he talks to me. And we end up deboarding the plane together, spent about an hour and a half going through customs, just talking about life and watches, and, you know, just incredibly humble guy, and you can just tell that he's just got this incredible collection. So the very next day, we're laying out on the beach in Aruba. Who comes walking down the beach but Stephen Venegas and Dolores? And he's wearing the Platona. And he says, Chris, I thought about it. Me and Dolores talked about you guys last night, and I just had a feeling we were going to run into each other. I was like, yeah, I kind of had the same feeling too, man. This is so awesome. He's like, well, I bet you can't guess what's in my pocket. I was like, I don't know, man. It sounds like you got a crazy collection. Like, I don't know, a Panda Daytona. And my wife goes, no, something meteorite. He points to Allie and goes, you're close. Pulls out of his pocket. This is walking down the beach. On the beach, out of his pocket. Platinum, day-date, presidential, meteorite dial with the baguettes.
No way.
This man is walking.
Smooth bezel?
Smooth bezel, platinum bezels. This man is walking down the beach with God knows how much money on his person. So we go out, we have dinner, we have drinks, we have cigars. We kind of, we certainly exchange numbers and stay in touch, and just exchange pictures and watch celebration and watch successes. And before parting ways in Aruba, Steve was like, "Hey, we're gonna come see you in Charleston. We're gonna see you in Charleston." I said, "Okay, anytime. All you gotta do is say the word." Half thinking to myself, "Yeah, right. I mean, this guy's a big baller. What's he gonna come and spend time with lowly old us in Charleston?" About a month ago, Steven, hits me up. He's like, "Hey, I've got some free time. If we fly in this Friday, can we stay with you guys for the weekend?" Flies in, stays for the weekend. First thing we do, we go to our ID. We go to Dimitri. He buys a beautiful Tudor watch for Dolores. She's wearing the rose gold day-date presidential with the olive dial.
Oh yeah, beautiful. The anniversary, right?
The anniversary engraved, baller engraved.
Wow. Yeah.
Steven is wearing the Paddock 5990 in rose gold.
You sent me a picture of that.
Just insane and true to form. So we go to dinner, we go to Hall's. Shout out the Hall's Chop House for sure. Love those guys.
Oh, big shout out.
And true to Steven's form, pulls a watch out of his pocket. What does he have in his pocket? Solid gold day-date presidential Eisenkeisel dial.
Yeah. The rose gold
Rose gold
with that brown eyes.
The bright Eisenkeisel dial with the lightning bolts. It looks like brown lightning bolts through it.
Seriously, it looks like it's like brown with like lightning.
Diamond baguette bezels. This guy, and all because
he always has stuff in his pocket.
That's his thing. So that's his thing. So his AD is Wimpy. If you guys know about Wimpy on Fifth Avenue, great relationship with those guys, and he's known, I guess, worldwide now for that's his thing.
Really?
He does the mid party watch change. Every time, whether it's a dinner party or at the restaurant, he will change watches mid-meal, mid-dinner. He'll go to the bathroom and he changes watches. That's his thing. That's what he's known for. So he's the man. I call him the Godfather.
Yeah.
He's certainly the God.
This is the Godfather.
This is the God. See, he's legendary.
Okay. Yeah.
He's the Godfather.
I knew of the Godfather. I didn't know his name was.
So he, and all because of this watch, we struck up just a beautiful friendship. And, this is a guy that has such a high net worth. And I'm not talking about monetary. You talk about emotional net worth and intellectual net worth. This is just a super high net worth individual that now I'm just super good friends with.
That's cool.
And, and part of the watch community. Bought a watch from our AD at Dimitri, and he's got a coin. He's part of the club. And
I love being able to support Dimitri.
We'll take it worldwide, man. We'll take it worldwide. It's not about, again, it's not about the Rolex game. They have so much more to offer, and some of the other brands that they offer, and the fine jewelry and just the experience. So that's super cool. Like introducing your friends, like bringing your people.
So much fun. I always send people there. And
isn't that weird about being a guy? Like everybody wants to have a guy, right? Yeah. It's such an enormous sense of pride to have a guy. Somebody wants their car washed. Oh, I got a guy.
Absolutely.
Somebody needs their roof done. Oh, I got a guy.
Yeah.
You need a watch. Oh, I got a guy. Right. It's just like, I don't want to say ego because that sounds negative, but it's very fulfilling.
It is fulfilling, and in a good way. It's the good ego. I mean, it's knowing that. I mean, listen. I mean, when I send somebody to Dimitri specifically, I can know that they're going to have a good experience.
Right.
Here, it's not that they might. It's not that. Oh, you've got to ask for Johnny, and if Billy comes up to you, don't talk to Billy. Those are fake names, by the way. But
pseudonyms.
It's not that, right?
It's not.
It's you walk in, and I don't care who you talk to. I don't care who's in there that day. I promise you're going to have a great experience, and I can guarantee that. And so that's what makes it special. But it's cool having that sense of pride, knowing that I know that I can send you somewhere you're gonna have a really, really good experience.
Absolutely.
It's like it's like your favorite restaurant, right? Whenever you know that the food and everything's that good
and consistent,
consistent. But the only thing you can't control at your favorite restaurant is who they might, interact with on a server level. Like I know all the servers at Dimitri, right?
Right.
And I know every single one of them by name, and I know that they're all going to do a fantastic job. So
this might be too emotional, but if you can remember, do you remember like the look on your face, on your mom's face on Christmas?
Yeah.
When she got you the gift that she spent all this time telling you weren't going to get? just look of sheer satisfaction when you open up that GI Joe that you didn't think you were gonna get. You know, and it's almost on that level. You send somebody to Dimitri, you send somebody to Hall's Chop House, and they come back and they're not. You know, they're not just being nice. You know, they're not just humoring, but they're just freaking raving about what you hooked them up with from an experience wise. You're like, yeah. You know, you're just beaming with pride. I think that's got to be the same thing, right? It's just watching somebody, you know, just absolutely enjoy something you recommended or got for them. It's awesome.
Feels better than doing it yourself.
Almost, right? It almost does feel better than getting yourself. And that's why
I think it does.
I mean, one of my favorite things of going down to AD is I like to go and be there when my friends are getting watches.
Yeah.
That's so cool. And it's, you know, your own experience is awesome. But it's also so cool to watch somebody else get their watch piece, get their grill piece. Shout out to Brant Dixon. I know when that watch comes in for you, buddy, you know what I'm talking about. I'll be there. What's he
think? Is it a surprise?
He knows what it is.
You know.
It's gonna be an off catalog piece.
Really? Wow.
It's gonna be an off catalog piece to honor his son.
I know this. Yeah, you're right.
It's gonna be an off catalog piece to honor his son, and it's gonna be an emotional moment. It's gonna be
that's really cool.
Super cool. It's affirmation for me that, you know, you don't have to be Tom Brady, or Mark Wahlberg to get these pieces. That you can just be a regular dude.
You know, I didn't know that that's what the back behind that watch. I didn't know that that's what it stood for.
Yeah, the puzzle pieces for you guys out there don't know. It's the new Rolex Day-Date Presidential. It's got puzzle piece motif on the dial. Puzzle pieces long been a symbol for autism and special needs. And one of our dear friends we think is going to get that watch, and we all want to be there. Yeah. We want to be there when that happens because it's just going to be freaking awesome, right? It's just like winning one for the regular dude, right?
I interact with Brant all the time, and I've actually never gotten to meet him either. So
really? Oh, you got to meet this guy.
At that same time that he's getting this really special piece.
You keep meeting all these watch guys and watch girls, and they're just the best freaking people. Like I said, they're such high net worth people, and I keep saying that, and I want to reiterate, I'm not referring to money in a bank account. They're just high net worth individuals. That, you know, have so much heart and so much emotion, and just awesome to be around, you know. And you should surround yourself with those type of people, man. I swear, just good things start happening, right?
Yeah.
Which is a good transition into the final piece that I bought.
The final piece that you brought is one of the craziest pieces I've ever seen. It's also one of the craziest stories.
This is a crazy story. This is a crazy story. Now, one of my best friends, Steve and Nick. This guy worked 33 years on the New York Stock Exchange. He's got a saying, and his saying is, never let the truth get in the way of a good story. So
I love that.
I was in such a kind of a haze when this whole thing went down that the details might be a little fuzzy, but I'm going to tell the story the best that I possibly can.
Just go all out. I mean, let's put in some fun details.
You know, listen, we're all in the watch game. We all know what it's like to hound your AD, right? And God bless them, right? But I'm sure we all get on their nerves. We all get on their damn nerves because we want more. And I just, you know, I've had a nice little string of getting some really just absolute stellar pieces. And, you know, we're not just customers. We're friends with the guys at the AD, and obviously we interact outside, and we've got, you know, a half a dozen text threads going on. So it was a Monday night, and I had a dream. And I had a dream that my salesperson, my AD, was just super tired of my shit. He was just super tired of me bothering him all the time and coming out there and hanging out and so I had a dream, and I was in my dream, I said, you know, his name's Jason. I said, Jason, listen, man, I feel like I'm just really getting on your nerves. I think I just need something like crazy. I need like a marquee piece. I need something stellar. I need something that, you know, is just a showstopper, and then I'm just going to leave you alone. I'm going to leave you alone for the rest of the year. Granted, you notice I didn't say forever.
Just for the rest of the year.
The rest of the year, we'll come in and, you know, we'll get some pieces for my wife. You know, she loves Oris. She loves a lot of other brands. She actually got 4 or 5 Orises. Orises.
Oris.
Somebody
Oris
comment.
Is plural, right?
Oris is plural. Yeah, somebody comment on that. Let us know. I think I've always wondered that. Is it Orises or is it Oris plural, like sheep?
Well, there's already
Can you be a sheep, or you can be a singular sheep or a flock of sheep?
plenty of sheep.
Yeah,
I think
so-
Forrest or
So guys, comment on that. So
need that as a
Tuesday morning, I wake up and I'm like, I'm usually, up pretty early, and I like to send some wisecracks to my guys and on the watch thread. So rather than send a wisecrack or make fun of, people for sleeping in, which is a true old man trait.
Yeah.
Making fun of people that don't get up early.
It's 7:30 in the morning right now, or 7.
Hey, you got to be up before the enemy.
Yeah, that's
You got
right.
to be up before the enemy.
Yeah.
But 4:34 D-Day, up before the enemy. Check out Jocko Wilnick. Check out his podcast.
He's crazy
In
in a good way.
a great way, and in the best possible way. So I text Jason. I said, "Hey man, I know this is crazy, but if you ever get a hold of a meteorite dial Pepsi, I think I want to go in on all that. I think scratch everything else on my list. I want to go all in on that." And thought nothing of it.
This was after, so you
Have a dream Monday night.
Monday night,
Tuesday
you were
morning.
going to not bother Jason for the rest of the year because
Because in my dream, he's pissed at me.
he's pissed at you.
He's
And
tired of my
he's like,
shit.
Give me the one really crazy watch, and I won't bother you for the rest of the year.
Lord of the Rings, one watch to
You
rule them
wake
all,
up,
right?
It's
Like,
5 a.m. on Tuesday, and you're like, hey man, if you happen to get,
if you ever see one of these, call me, or if you think I'm worthy, I forget exactly what I texted him, but so I think nothing of it. We go, throughout my day. Literally Wednesday morning, I get a picture. This watch from Jason. It says, "When are you coming to pick this up?" So at this point, and there's some backstory here. At this point, it's all in good nature, but they've jacked with me in the past.
okay,
All right, they've sent me pictures of some things, or said, "Hey, we've got this for you," and jacked with me in the past, and showed up, and it's it's been a solid gold Hamilton, which we love Hamilton, but
I do love him.
it wasn't the solid gold piece that I thought I was going there to see, right?
I'm gonna reset this just for 1 second.
All good. So I literally laugh it off.
Yeah,
I laugh it off. I'm like, yeah, whatever. Yeah, this percent. And the other thing is, it was in a group text. It wasn't an individual text just to me. It was in a group text. So I think clearly he's jacking with me, right?
Mhm.
So I just throughout all day Wednesday, like, it's stressing me. Like, it's straight up getting to me. And my wife, Allie's like, "Chris," she's literally telling me, she's like, "You always do this to yourself." She's like, "It's not." She's like, they're just messing with it. She's like, "Maybe they have something for you. Like, go down to the store. Like, maybe it's something else, but there's no way." She's like, "There's no way you're getting a meteorite dial. They're just stop getting so worked up. Like, stop, trying to figure out, if it's real or not. It's not." I'm like, "All right, it's not." So Jason's like, "Hey, the Rolex guy, the Rolex corporate guy is going to be in the office tomorrow. You need to come." So I'm like, "All right, I'm coming down." And I'm thinking, and I'm just like, every scenario in my head, I'm playing out. Well, maybe it's a Batman. Like, maybe it's, it's complete my GMT collection. Maybe it's this. Maybe it is just a joke. Like, preparing myself mentally and emotionally. And I show up, and I'm always kind of dressed like this, like t-shirt and hat, and I think I was wearing gym shorts, like going to the gym. First of all, everybody's wearing suits.
That's abnormal.
Dressed to the nines. Right? See the Rolex guy. First thing I think, honest, hand to God, is this a fucking intervention? I almost like, guys, I don't drink that much. Like, well, my mom and dad here? Like, what did I do? Like, why is everybody in a suit? Like, totally just, what is going on here? Right? So Rolex, the Rolex corporate guy comes up, shakes my hand. He knows my name. He says, "So nice to meet you." He says, he's like, "Mr. Williams, it's my absolute pleasure to be here. When you get this marquee piece, we're really trying to make an effort to make sure our good customers, our best customers, are well taken care of. And this is just a great day." And I'm still like, what is going on? Is this guy an actor? Is this guy from like local improv place? Like, did they pay this guy $25 to come here and jackal me? Then here comes Peter out of his office, and Peter is just the kindest, gentlest, most friendly, approachable human being on the planet. And I don't want to say that he's not professional, because he's the utmost professional, but he's got this warmness about him that you never feel like it's a professional or business transaction. He comes out of the office, but he's uncharacteristically so, being very businesslike. He's got this box in his hand. He opens up his box, and here it is. And I'm just like, oh my God, it's real. It's real.
Do you remember what he said to you?
I don't. It's just a blur. I mean, I know he was so happy. He just grinning ear to ear, so happy. And then, Jason takes me into the Rolex room, and we do it. And I'm just like, I can't believe it. I can't believe it. And I've never had a white gold watch. I've never felt this type of weight. It's heavier than the rose gold.
Yeah.
This is an 8 billion year old piece of space rock, y'all. 8 billion years old. This thing has traveled through space. This thing has traveled across space and time. And it's right here in this watch. It's on my wrist. I mean,
and it's a piece unique in its own, because there is never the same piece of meteorite that they use for the dial.
No.
It never will be.
No.
Every single one is a piece unique.
Every single cut is absolutely unique. It's the Gibeon meteorite. It crashed in Namibia in the 1800s. So obviously here's the watch obsession, right? So then I have to Google absolutely everything about it and read everything about it. One of the things that makes this special is that this meteorite is one of the very few meteorites that are laying on Earth that isn't magnetic.
Really?
It doesn't have magnetic properties, so it doesn't ruin the movement.
Yeah.
So another cool fun fact is the Namibians, where this meteorite field, it's a meteorite field that crashed about like over 1,600 kilometers. The Namibians that are native to this area, even though it is more of a less developed country, have an unusually long lifespan. And they attribute their unusually long lifespan to the meteorite. So I'm like, I'm going to live forever, bitches.
Yeah. You never that's your fountain.
I've got a meteorite now.
Yeah, you're good.
I'm going to live forever.
Yeah.
Like this is, and so you just get in these things and it's just so surreal, and it's so beautiful, and I can't stop staring at it. And it's got scratches on it already because I've just been wearing the crap out of it. First thing I did when I got home was get in the pool with it, and it's just spectacular. It's so incredibly special and unique. And the way that this went down, where like I literally dreamed it. And so Jason's calling me. He's like, I know what you do for work, but he's like, do you ever office bugged? I'm like, no. What are you talking about? He's like, literally, you send me that text, and 4 hours later, we had no idea we were getting this watch, and it shows up in the mail. And Jason's like, it's got to be for Chris. Like, he knows something we don't. Like, we got to give this to Williams. And I was like, you're making this up. You got to be kidding me. He's like, no. So dreamed about this watch on Monday, texted the AD on Tuesday at 5:30 a.m., 12:30 p.m., this watch comes in the mail to the AD. Thursday morning, it's on my wrist, and I'm out. It could have been Wednesday, but I didn't believe it was true. So for all of you guys out there and girls out there, I waited a full 24 hours to go pick up this watch because I didn't think it was real.
Was the Rolex guy in town all week, or was he just in town on Thursday? Because I think that makes it even.
I think he was just in town on Thursday, just doing his. He's a regional guy. He was doing a visit.
So I think, and whenever you and I originally talked, and I don't know if this is the correct or not correct, but I think it's just a cool part of the story, whether or not it's true or not. But you said whenever Peter was giving it to you, I think you mentioned he was being ultra formal, which is weird. And he was like, hey, Chris or Mr. Williams, he's like, on behalf of Rolex and Dimitri Jewelers, we want to thank you for your partnership and your dedication to the brand, and as an appreciation to your loyalty to the brand, we want to give you and offer you the opportunity to purchase a special piece. And we like to offer everyone that's, a special partner and a special fan of the brand, a special piece at least once in their life.
Yeah.
And so we hope you'll appreciate that. And that was
kind of the gist of it. Yeah, definitely the gist of it. And that, that gives you so much hope. Cool. And it just gives you so much hope that there's, like I said, the little guys, the regular guys that just, work for a living and try to save up a little side money to have the ability to pursue their passions, that these big behemoth brands, like, they care about you.
Yeah.
They care about you. It's not necessarily that, who spent the most money or who's pulling up in the most expensive flashy car. It's just a passion for the brand. And, I felt so passionate about these guys and, this family-like environment that, I decided it was time to start a watch club in Charleston. So we started the DWC, we started the Dimitri Watch Club, we started the Coin Club, and I'm number 000 of the Dimitri Watch Club, Mr. Nobody.
I'm number 21.
Mr. Nobody, and I like it that way because it's not about me. And although Dimitri is on the coin and certainly in the name, it's not necessarily about an individual being Peter. It's about, the community and the family, and this is a physical the store is a physical representation of where we can all gather and get together. But it's definitely like, it's conceptual. Just like, on our coins it says time is the only currency. So it is conceptual. It is the currency. It's time that we have and how we spend it. And then you get an opportunity to have something like this, and there's dudes and there's girls out there that have cooler stuff than this, But to me, like, this is the coolest.
It should be.
8 billion years old, man. Like, I can't get over that. There was dinosaurs on this earth.
Yeah.
T-Rex was running around this earth, and this watch, this dial on this watch was floating around in outer space, fated to land on Earth.
It's how, I mean, to think about that piece right there as the summation of, your entire, the building of your entire collection and the relationships, all along the way, right? Like, I mean, I think you could look at that watch and feel all of that all at once.
Absolutely.
And you feel the beginning of your collection and all the excitement from all the pieces you've gotten over the years. And this incredible collection you have, because Chris this is an awesome collection, but he's got an incredible collection outside of this. And to be able to look at that piece right there and know that.
Absolutely. It tells the tape of a journey from my first Snoopy watch when I was in elementary school to the countless G-Shocks to the first real watch I ever bought for myself and spent money on was a Tag Heuer Aqua Racer 2000.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a great watch.
Great watch.
That has one of those.
Got stolen from me, unfortunately. That's one that's not a terribly expensive watch, but probably someday I'll seek one out.
Mm-hmm.
I'll seek out a 1999 Aqua Racer 2000 with a white dial.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'll buy it, to have it, to have it back and to be able to wear it and be just as proud in my 40s of that as I was in my early 20s, So yeah, it is a summation of a journey and a summation of every different thing, of accomplishment, achievement, and passion and relationships and building that emotional equity. You've got like an emotional piggy bank, and oftentimes as adults and as men and women, we try to make so many withdrawals. And you finally kind of come to the realization in your life that you got to make deposits into that emotional piggy bank. You make withdrawals. That money's got to be there. That equity's got to be there. So you always got to make deposits before you make withdrawals. And then when it comes to watch collecting, which is ultimately what this podcast is about, it really just comes down to being a good person, right? Like so the Godfather, we referenced him earlier, Steven, he's got a term. He calls. I don't want to say the bad people, but he just calls certain people in the watch community pigs.
Mm-hmm.
He calls them pigs. Because they just want it. They don't wear them. They don't love them. They just want to have them. They wear watches. The watches they do wear, they wear because of who they think might be there to see them wearing it.
Right.
Not because to be seen wearing it, not because they think that it's the time, or it's what they want to wear, it's what they want to feel. It's like, oh, well, so-and-so is going to be there, so I got to flex on them, or I got to do this, I got to do that, man.
I don't like those people.
Well, no, I mean, we've had these great watch meetups with our club, that's kind of in its infancy, and you got, there's nothing cooler than the guy or the girl showing up with something like your Pulsar, for example.
Yeah.
Like, Serge, who just pulled up in the Ferrari, is drooling over the Pulsar. This guy could buy and sell whatever, but it's the Pulsar,
and the
right?
Tissot,
and the Tissot, the PRX, Ice Blue PRX, and everything. And our last get together at Jeff's house, one of these gentlemen brought a vintage 1940s Cartier.
Wow,
that was his father's watch. Didn't even run, didn't work. He didn't want. It was his grandfather's watch. He didn't want to have it worked on. But it was just so cool, and it wasn't terribly valuable. Whatsoever, from a monetary standpoint, but emotionally, like, so stinking valuable, right? And so stinking cool.
The value of the watches, I think, to me, is almost irrelevant. Obviously there's a relevancy there, but what's more important, to your point, is the people behind it. And
absolutely,
there's so many. But the whole point of this podcast, I think, more than just you kind of talking about watches is getting to meet people like you that are the people behind the watches. And they're not always, you'd be so surprised to everyone listening how many people out there are that are just some incredible people that have some really cool watches. And sure, if you see a nice watch on your wrist, you might think like, oh, this guy's, crazy wealthy, or maybe, look at that swatch, or, whatever it might be. And it's really not all about that at all. It's about these people that are just normal people that, all else aside, you would just fall in love with their personality and who they are, and have some really, really cool stories to tell and share. And
Absolutely.
you can bond over a mutual love over something that has a function to it, and, has a lot of fun behind the collecting side.
I mean, I've just got so many experiences. A colleague and a dear friend, Eric, I mean, he wanted to lose 100 pounds for his son's wedding, and this guy is crazy successful, but would never spend the money, would never treat himself, never allow himself to have something nice until he felt like he met a certain physical goal. And he told me, he said, well, I'm gonna lose 100 pounds for my son's wedding. I'm gonna buy a Rolex, and I'm gonna wear it at my son's wedding. And one of the greatest joys of my friendship and my, time in this watch world is I was able to connect Eric with the AD, with Dimitri, who helped him with his goal, through this process. And when he said he was ready, they had that watch waiting on him. And it was a date just, white gold, two-tone date just on Jubilee with the fluted bezel with the platinum silver dial. Killer. Killer looking watch, man. And see this guy throw this thing on his wrist after achieving this just crazy goal of losing 100 pounds, man. That was awesome, man. That kind of hits you right in the heart, pulls at the heartstrings. So like everybody's got a story like that, whether it's God, there was a country music star in the store not too long ago that's just kind of up and coming, and he bought a Hamilton, and that was his first purchase with some of the money he's getting from playing in Nashville, and he bought a Hamilton, and that's to me is as cool as somebody getting that platinum Daytona, or
Well, I mean, Hamilton, we could go off on a tangent here, but the Elvis deal. Elvis is almost, a strong tie of music from Hamilton, so it makes sense to have a Hamilton.
Strong tie to music, strong tie to the military with the khaki field watch, and there's, it goes on and on and on. I mean, I mentioned my wife's affection for Oris and all the initiatives they do with the oceans, and she's got one of, I think, 1,500 Oris Aquas with the, it's got a pearl dial that was stamped green, and part of that watch was they repopulated the oyster population of the Hudson Bay.
Yeah, the Hudson Bay Project, yeah.
Hudson Bay Project, and that's super meaningful to her, and a super cool watch. She gets so many stinking compliments on that watch.
As she should.
So many
it's a green mother of pearl dial.
Green mother of pearl, striking dial. It's a men's size watch. I keep saying men's size. There is no such thing as men's size. So let me scratch that. It's a 40 millimeter watch. It's just
politically correct over here.
Let's go. We've got a badass, strong contingency of women that are members of the watch club.
100%.
Right? And some of them got some pretty crazy collections, my wife included. So it's 40 millimeter though, so it's big. It's striking. So she gets all these, again, we focused a lot of time on Rolex today because that's, a real focus of my collection.
And that's what you did.
For reason, for obvious reason, for the tool aspect of it, but there's just so many other things that we appreciate. So much.
Absolutely.
So much. And I'm a little Panerai curious now. And my wife's got the
I've been
Panerai curious now.
I've been Panerai curious. So we'll have to do a whole nother episode. Chris is going to be a recurring guest. Hopefully a very commonly recurring guest now that we have the setup.
The setup's fantastic. It's absolutely awesome.
Shout out to McKinley Leather. My mom made these, and comfort-wise, do you think comfortable seating?
Oh, they're awesome. I mean,
get Chris some
the alligator. I think it's so, man.
I'm selling furniture, Mom.
Downstairs for the bar room. Yeah, the alligator and the Rolex green. It doesn't get much better.
It's pretty good, right?
It's pretty darn good, guys.
Oh,
it's pretty darn good.
Well, dude, thank you for your time today. We probably should wrap. It's been a while, but it's been a long time coming.
I appreciate it.
This is the start of a new era in the podcast, a new season, you would say, where we're getting to hear some really cool stories from people that are friends, And then hopefully some new friends. Maybe we get the Godfather on here sometime.
I think we can get the Godfather on. I think we can do that. I
Yeah.
think we'll get some of the ladies.
The ladies,
some of the ladies in DWC on.
Yeah,
for
we'll get
sure.
your wife on here.
We'll get Allie on here, and she hates attention. She hates the limelight, so it'll be awesome.
Well, she can sit in that seat.
You might have to. It'll be like an FBI informant. You might have to blur her face.
Well, there's somebody that we know that's in the group, and he's a young guy with a really, really cool collection. I was actually there when he got his new Daytona, the white gold Daytona with the blue dial.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, dude, would you ever come on the pod? He actually has. Let's watch it. I'm wearing your watch, by the way.
Oh yeah.
And
As you should.
And he goes, I was like, would you ever come on? He says, yeah, I'd come on, but you guys just gotta blur me out. Like, I just don't want to be. I don't want the attention, but I'll tell you stories and we'll talk about it. I'm like, that's fine.
Super understandable. I mean, I think about that. And again, that could be a whole other podcast about like safety and watch collecting and feeling like you're going to get. That was one of the things with Steven, the Godfather, because he'd never been to Charles. He's like, well, man, he's a New York guy. He's like, am I going to get rolled? I was like, first of all, let me Google rolled. I don't know what that means. I don't know. Like, instead of all like, the thing about Charleston is no matter what you have, no matter how nice you think your things are, walk 100 yards down the road, somebody's gonna have something nicer.
Oh, we got old money here. It's different.
It's different, but yeah, I worry about that. I worry about people knowing what you have and
I agree.
Where you have it and all that good stuff. But then again, like
the goal is to inspire, not to. Yeah. It's not to show anything off.
It's
to inspire.
Folks, keep the main thing. They're just things. And that might sound flippant. That might sound like laissez-faire, but they are just things.
Yeah.
They're things that make us super happy. But at the end of the day, like I would never trade, these fine pieces for the love and happiness that I have, with my family and my emotions. It's just something that makes it a little bit more sweeter because you can enjoy it together. So if I have some advice, if I can end the podcast, with some advice, buy the damn watch. Buy the damn watch. You're not going to live forever. Buy it, wear it, scratch it, love it. Just buy the damn watch. Don't think twice. Don't worry about it. Obviously, don't put yourself in dire financial straits. But if you've got the ability and you're just worried about what other people might think, you're worried about messing it up or breaking it, buy the damn watch, man.
Wow.
Just buy it.
That's good work.
Right?
I love that right there. Buy the damn watch.
Right?
I love
buy
that.
it. Do it.
I love that.
You won't regret it. You won't regret it.
That makes me happy to hear. That's a good work. We'll end on that. Normalize Talking About Watches. Share the show. Like the show. Hopefully you guys got a lot out of this because I definitely did. And we'll do it again soon.
Love you guys. Thank you so much, man.
Buy the damn watch.
Buy the damn watch, indeed.